Greetings, listeners! Today is the 4th of July of 2019, and welcome to episode 3 of Underground Book Club, where we discuss free, self-published books that we uncover in the depths of the internet. I'm Jake.
And I'm Chris. Still.
Right.
Today we're going to be discussing Book 1 of the Orb Chronicles, The Winds of Change, by the mysterious Alex Robbins. Before we get started, what was our second episode's prompt? Give a description of a person.
Oh, right.
Like their own or another author's description of a person in like 2 sentences or less.
Well, we can't really say what the prompts are because we uploaded the episode today.
Right.
But here's the thing, we don't really have much of a viewership right now. So what we're planning on doing is we're going to, if we get a fan base and a following that do answer our prompts,
start responding,
then we will have a follow-up, like maybe episode or follow-up segment where we talk about all of our responses to the prompts
and the ones we like. Yeah, that's a good idea. I have news to cover.
Oh yeah, what's up?
Jake and I know a guy who has written a book, and it's not a great book, but he's got like no lack of self-confidence, and he gives it to everybody and says, read my book. And then it doesn't matter how many people tell him it's dry or boring or whatever, he's still just like, it's my book, I wrote a book. So we found out this week that he spent $11,000. Like, he's hired somebody to turn his book into a screenplay.
Yeah, that's right. Well, first off, if you have like $11,000, you got money to spare. But then secondly, if you've got $11,000, why would you turn your book that it hasn't really gone off the ground yet, and turn it into a movie screenplay when really what you should be doing is taking that money to market yourself?
The deal with self-publishing is that you're limited really by your own budget.
Sure.
And because you have to do everything for yourself. Honest to God, I'm not sure he's even published this book anywhere.
You're right. I actually don't know.
Gives copies to people. Though self-publication is free online, marketing ain't.
No, marketing is definitely not. Marketing
free.
Is hard.
I only brought this up because we're going to talk in a minute here about marketing yourself,
yeah,
putting yourself out there.
Nice segue.
And I'm just saying that if you don't have $11,000 or whatever amount of money that you can just throw toward
getting yourself out
there, then there are other ways to do it.
Like Reddit. I would suggest other like social media websites, using your friends' word of mouth, getting reviews helps.
Reviews helps. Yeah, reviews does. But we'll get to that in a minute. And we're especially going to talk about it next episode.
Right.
Because our author there has a pretty
big presence.
She's gone to some effort to put herself out there as a social.
She's got like some neat book covers and got like she's got a blog and everything.
And Alex Robbins, our author today, is kind of a different story, which we're going to get to.
Yeah.
If this is your first time joining us, a quick reminder that we are constantly trying to improve our audio.
If we sound a little echoey, we promise we're doing all we can to clean it up. If we actually make some revenue off this show, we will use it to improve all of our software and hardware. And blow. Secondly, we must reiterate that this is a non-toxic show. We are criticizing writing, not authors.
I think it's funny, but Jake says we do need to keep apologizing for our audio.
Yeah, we do.
He's the internet expert. He says people are very fussy about audio.
Oh my God, yeah. I bet we're even though we've apologized now 3 times for audio, we're still going to get people like, your audio's a little echoey. Promise, we're trying to clean it up.
Yeah, well, okay. So you guys out there who are so picky about audio, you're surprising me.
So, we would normally start off by introducing today's author, but we don't really have much to introduce him with. He goes by Alex Robbins, yet aside from his name, we have no concrete details on the guy. As far as I can tell, The Winds of Change is his first e-published book. He released it on May 8th of 2019. He published it on like 20 different sites. And a lot of his accounts were created on the same day of the publication. I can't find him on social media. He has no author page, no contact info, nothing. We don't even know what his gender is. Could be a girl for all we know. Alex is a very gender neutral name, but for the sake of, we're just gonna pick with his, for the sake of clarification. Alex Robbins is very mysterious, whereas some authors aren't. This may be something you should think about. If you intend to publish online, you may want to consider how much info you reveal about yourself online.
It's interesting how the lack of a social media presence is such an uncommon thing that we feel the need to mention it. Alex's business is Alex's business. If he doesn't want to have an internet presence, that's fine. If you go to a publishing company, even though they're going to foot the bill, they want you to have a presence. And the first thing they're going to ask for is an author page. Do you have your own website? And how good does it look? A good-looking website is important to them.
If you have the intention of publishing a piece of fiction online, you'd want other people to read it, right?
Yes.
Since Alex has published on many different websites, he's clearly not shy about putting his work out there. And he'll be able to read reviews that he gets.
So that's one way of interacting with the public.
Right.
And reviews are very hard to get.
They're hard to get,
unless you've got like 50 friends, you can say, will you please go online and put a review. Here's a little secret that I have discovered. Amazon will not let you post a review for a book unless you have purchased that book from Amazon.
Oh, okay.
So
you can't just go on there.
When I went on to try to post a review, it said, nope, you didn't buy it here, you can't post a review. Wow. I think Amazon has caught on to these tricks you can do of posting reviews.
Where you can get like your family and friends.
It's true, they caught me. I was trying to do a favor for a friend.
Oh, wow.
If you're interested in becoming a popular writer,
right,
it cannot hurt you to have a website, a blog, at least a way to contact you.
And what are some ways that we could do that?
Smashwords has an option where you can make your own author page. It has got a pretty nice one too. Now, it's not as nice as having your own website. It is a nice little convenient thing there where you can do author interviews, you can answer questions, you can get a following. Every online publishing agency has got the ability to do this. I know Kindle does. And Kindle and Smashwords Kindle's big. Smashwords is pretty big.
It's easy as writing the Orb Chronicles, I have written down there. But what we were talking about earlier is that what's really hard is marketing yourself.
That is the big drawback on self-publication.
As you know, a publishing company markets you, but they're also evil.
Well, it felt evil, but remember, you guys, I had a bad experience, so let's we can't take what happened to me as what happens to everybody, but a publishing company will go to they want to sell your book because they're getting a percentage of the sales. If you're self-published, you're marketing yourself. If you want to hire people to market you, you can. I have done that, and they did hard work and a good job for me.
Sure.
But it is very expensive, and
seriously,
keeping it up is not easy.
So maybe you should think about that if you're like, oh, I'm going to be an author, I'm going to make a lot of revenue off my work. That may not happen for a bit.
It doesn't happen.
Don't quit your day job, is what I'm saying. Don't quit. Get keep at what you're doing, write as a hobby, and then publish online. And if it works out, then maybe you'll actually start accruing
ways
stuff.
To market yourself for free, but which will take some of your time. So it depends on how much time you want to spend.
Exactly.
You can contact book bloggers. Book bloggers are excellent. If you can contact them, get them to read your book and review it on their blog, that's very good. But that involves you putting yourself out there.
And that doesn't mean they'll give you a good review.
No, but I swear to God, there's really no such thing as a bad review. Like, there's negative reviews.
They can give you a 1 star, but it'll still get your name out there.
It'll get your name out there, and even 1 star, I don't know.
Hey,
sometimes.
Just consider why you want to publish your fiction at all. Do you want to do it for money? Do you want to do it to get famous? Or do you want people to just read it and like it? If you don't want to hear anyone's opinion about it, then maybe you don't want a website or anything. Maybe you don't even want to read reviews. I know you don't like rating reviews.
Now, you can't use me as an example, though, because I'm pathologically shy.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So I'm insane. So let's not talk about me. Let's talk about normal people. To me, the most important thing about writing is, are you enjoying yourself?
Sure.
Do you
have fun doing this?
Do you love writing? If you love writing and you just want people to see your stuff, I think that's a very good place to start.
Okay.
If you want to write books to get rich, let me tell you something. There's easier ways to get rich.
Well, that's fair.
Stock market, lottery,
drugs.
Selling drugs is...
Underground poker is not good selling drugs.
So, we've talked enough about other things. Let's get on to the Orb Chronicles.
The Winds of Change.
The Winds of Change.
And does it warrant all of this level of anonymity?
This is from the prologue. It is the year 2033. For 10 years, a small, randomly dispersed number of people have had access to mystical powers granted to them by mysterious objects known as orbs.
Oh yeah, those orbs.
It is unknown how they came to be, but their existence led to a conflict of beliefs, which in turn led to a world war.
Ooh, yeah, nice.
This ravaged the globe for 2 years, leaving millions dead, until an American man by the name of Charles Upton swiftly took control of the world through unknown means.
With an orb. Use an orb. Use an orb.
Well, spoiler alert.
I'm sorry.
In Phoenix, Arizona, a young man by the name of Derek Matthew lives with his 2 best friends, Jack Matthias and Bridget Gates, in a small apartment. Unbeknownst to them, they will soon become the catalysts that set events into motion. Events that will alter the course of human history.
They don't set a damn thing in motion.
Excuse me, I'm reading here.
Sorry.
As for where that path will take humanity, only time will tell.
Ooh, man. So this sounds like a post-apocalypse young adult novel type book.
Right.
The apocalypse in this scenario happens in 2023, apparently. When the orbs fall from the sky.
Mysterious superpower granting orbs.
And any random person who comes into contact with these orbs gains either a very specific superpower or a very loosely defined superpower.
Our story revolves around the 3 orb users, Derek, Zach, and Bridget. They're all in their early 20s.
Yeah, all friends.
They do everything together. They've been friends for years. Their relationship is so important to them that they believe in the power of their friendship.
The power of heart.
They join a rebellion together, and they don't really have a choice. They're kind of forced into it. It's like...
I mean, sure, with these friends, like, all they do all day is bicker at each other, and when they're alone...
Yes, but it's playful
Oh,
bickering.
right. So now they have no choice but to join a rebellion in order to overthrow Earth's most powerful ruler and get revenge for their murdered parents. All of them. All of their...
Yeah, all 3 have murdered parents.
Of both of their parents were all murdered on the same day, on the same place.
At the same protest
At the same time,
rally.
yeah.
This is an excerpt where Bridget said, "I think I understand what Jane was saying before we left. Alone, we are 3 strong orb users, but together, we can do much more."
Inspiring.
Yeah, it is. That's about the level of sophistication you get on all the interpersonal interactions in this story.
This sounds like an anime or something. Do you know what an anime is?
I am a novice of anime. I've liked a few anime shows.
Does it remind you of any particular kind of media?
It reminds me of anime. I mean, yes.
Or maybe of children's shows, Saturday morning cartoons.
Specifically, it reminds me of like an anime that's for children, like
really
simplified conflict.
Specifically,
it reminds me of Yu-Gi-Oh! A lot.
No, I'm right. Serious. No, with the heart of the cards.
It's like a Yu-Gi-Oh! Show or a bit of Dragon Ball Z, but it's not as intense as Dragon Ball Z.
Right. Our main characters are all either attacked, conscripted, or molested in the first 20 pages. Yet when we see Upton, the world's overlord, he's a childish caricature of a villain who demands a genuine evil overlord experience. If Dr. Evil ever had it, Upton wants it. He even refers to himself as ya boy at one point, in reference to the fact that he's going to step in a hot tub with a harem of women.
Okay, so
like a YouTuber
I'm
or
getting
something.
Tri-Rep flashbacks. And everything. They go to Vegas.
They do go to Vegas, you're right.
Okay, but for us old people around here, what is a ya boy?
Okay, so YouTube video starts right. A popular YouTuber, he starts off and he says, "Hey everybody, it's your boy, 3D Dubs, and today we're going to talk about the new Shake Weight," or something like that. You know, here's your boy. I'm your boy.
I'm your boy.
Okay. Yeah.
That's really funny, but okay.
Yeah, I know. If that sounded stupid, imagine your world overlord saying it.
And he's a goofball.
Yep.
He's got like a team of people like who carry out his evil bidding, and everybody in this book is very young except for two, like the mother and father figure in this book, Cox and Jane, and we'll get to that in a bit, as I continually say.
Nowhere in the description of this book does it say it's a young adult novel, but if you were to give this to like a publisher, they'd say it's a young adult novel.
Oh yeah, that's definitely
crazy, a young adult novel.
If not for the fact that there's occasionally these startlingly grim moments in it, I'd say it's a kid's book.
Yeah, I can see that.
I mean, I don't see teenagers being interested in this if he doesn't.
Oh, sure, yeah.
I mean, the love story isn't even that.
It's not really a story. I wouldn't even call it love.
We're getting into that right now because we're going to talk about Derek, Zach, and Bridget.
Yeah, of course.
So I'm going to talk about Zach first. He is the easiest to understand. I like to think of Zach as the adult in the room. He is the responsible one in the group. He really only cracks wise with his bestie, Derek. Zach's mature, more mature than the others anyway, because he's got to be the voice of reason and the one who says, "Now, kids, stop it.
Now, guys, come on." But he's also the most tolerable of the bunch.
He's got an orb that allows him to be super strong. He can amp up his body parts to be strong and fast. Please, Jake, tell us about Derek.
Alright, so Derek is like the main character. He's like, I don't know, like the primary focus.
Cool.
He's an oblivious dude, bro, who likes to fight. He wants to be cool. He wants a bounty on his head. And by the way, let me just reiterate. He wants a bounty on his head. And he wants that bounty to go as high as he can. And he enjoys being the center of attention.
Yeah!
The slacker with a heart of gold. Derek's orb allows him to copy the minor abilities of other orbs. He has like a limit of how many he can store. It's by far the most useful sounding orb, yet he doesn't really use it in a lot of very useful ways.
Well, now, is that true? Because he takes down almost everybody he bumps into.
Yeah, by using Jumping Cactus. I mean, he does combine it, but in really goofy ways.
Dude, Jumping Cactus is like the coolest power.
I want you to talk about Bridget.
Okay, here's the doormat. I mean, Bridget. No, I mean the doormat. Her orb gives her wind powers. She's basically Linka from Captain Planet if she had the personality of Alexa. She's basically the world's greatest girlfriend without being anyone's girlfriend. She's up for whatever you want.
It's okay.
She's okay with whatever you want to do. She'll cook and clean without complaint and is content with quietly reading to occupy her free time, and she's crazy hot to boot.
We might be trying to put words in the author's mouth saying she'll cook and clean without complaint, but she does do that. She cooks and cleans.
She cooks and cleans without complaint.
Yeah,
I don't think we're putting words.
We're not putting words in his mouth. I'm just saying the audience might be like, oh, does she really do that? Yeah, she really does that.
She really does do that.
She genuinely does that. I personally want to mention Bridget's occupation that we see briefly in the beginning of the book. She works paycheck to paycheck as a living store mannequin. She models lingerie in a store window. Get this, her entire job is to stand in one spot all day and model without moving an inch. Okay, hell, ignoring just how dehumanizing this is, because post-apocalypse, whatever.
Yeah, because in the post-apocalyptic world, lingerie stores are going to be a big thing.
Freaking just how god-awful boring must this job be? I mean, good lord. Security guards at least have a duty to protect an area and report on stuff. Like, I've seen some pretty bored security guards. I have a friend who's a security guard. He is bored as hell, but at least he's got, like, a job to do.
It's okay, I don't mind.
And then toll booth guards, even, can at least, like, interact with people. Maybe they can put on the radio.
I'm fine, I don't want to complain. I just stand here in my lingerie all day. It's okay.
Like, yeah, she might be hot, but like, can't they put these damn clothes on a freaking store mannequin? Even in the rules of the book itself, money is tight. Like, things, like, money is scarce. You wouldn't want to start a company where you have to pay someone to do the same kind of job that a coat hanger can do.
It doesn't make a lot of sense,
no.
but...
Well, we're just, all really Alex is trying to establish is that she's hot.
Well, yeah, Alex wants us to know
but like, she don't need no man, also, because someone tries to molest her, and she blasts him away with wind. But as a last resort...
I didn't want to, but he was just getting way too handsy.
Get handsy.
In Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you got, like, food, like oxygen, food, shelter, and then, like, lingerie.
Okay,
so
right.
I know that after the apocalypse, lingerie stores are going to be important, and maybe the models are in demand, but
it's silly.
It's in there just so we know that she's got
she's pretty.
A slamming bod.
Yeah, exactly.
This brings up our next big point. Alex Robbins is mysterious.
So mysterious.
And we don't know for sure about his gender. I mean, so really we are assuming man.
He's a guy.
And I'm assuming it because of the way he talks about women. Are we going to let me rant a little bit about the women in this book?
I gave you plenty of space to do that.
Well, thank you.
No problem.
Thank you. Here goes the rant.
Yeah.
I'm not going to rant. I'm not going to rant. There's no point in this book where it is absolutely outrageous the way women are treated.
I wouldn't call this book sexist. I would just call it naive.
It is naively sexist.
Oh, okay. All right.
I just feel like maybe Alex doesn't know a lot of women.
Sure. I would say he does try to give his women characters, like, powers and some agency.
He gives them powers and agency, but still has them acting like, as long as a guy's in charge.
Okay, right.
As long as I'm making the men happy.
I've got some details here.
Again, we're talking about the work, not about the author. So we are just trying to let you know, as a writer,
I have
to be careful.
I have to say I may be talking about the author here just a little bit.
Okay.
I'm not insulting him.
All right.
But in this story, we've got an omniscient narrator who's like looks at everybody's POV, whatever POV suits him. So it's not a specific character who's objectifying the women. So it's actually the narrator itself that is objectifying the women, and I have to attribute that to the author. Any cooking or cleaning or clothing production that is done in this book is all done by
a woman.
Even though they've got a woman with a superpower orb that lets her just create clothing out of nothing or something like that, it's still a chick.
And men in this book, men hit on women, and women are real shy about it.
They're so shy.
Oh my gosh.
They're like, oh. Even Upton's second in command, she's like second in command of the world.
The world, yeah.
And when a guy like says anything remotely flirtatious to her, she's like, what? She gets all blushy and like, how can you say things like that so easily? So women flip out when a man pays attention to them. They get so shy. It's kind of a dork fantasy for their shy, hot girlfriend.
Speaking as a guy, like, I don't like to generalize anybody. I don't like to generalize anything. So, but I will say, I think it's very unlikely that a lady with a rockin' bod who's a lingerie model for a living, who has a superpower of being able to blast people away, I don't associate that with, really mousy, quiet, shy ladies who are just content with whatever their best friends want to do.
I just want to take care of you guys. That's all.
So, a mousy attitude lady, I don't expect them to be lingerie models. There may be some out there, and if there are some out there, give me their number.
Okay. All right. So everybody got that?
Yeah.
If you know any shy, sweet lingerie models who don't know how gorgeous they are, give them Jake's phone number.
Yeah, please. Email us at jakeandchrisubc@gmail.com.
All right, and more about women, though.
Please go on.
Bridget just wants everybody to get along. She's got no self-confidence about her powers. She doesn't want to draw attention to herself. She likes Derek and maybe likes him, but she's confused and uncertain.
Every time Derek gets even slightly close to her, she's like, what's going on?
Oh, he touched my arm. It's... Okay, I don't know anymore, ladies. Let's give me a Yahoo here. We're not like that, okay? Guys in this book respond to women like idiots. They act so dumb. Bridget goes out one night in a midi top, so her stomach is showing.
And a little bit of cleavage.
And they go down to the gym, and like this gang of guys surrounds her and starts like sexually harassing her.
Yeah.
And it takes one of her male friends stepping in to break this up. Like, she doesn't even know how to say, get the f off me.
Yeah.
Quit acting like a dumbass. It's like, I don't want to draw attention to myself. And be careful about it. Maybe a bit too vague. I want to be more specific. If you've got a scene like this and you're not sure, reverse the sexes. Play it out.
Okay.
And reverse everybody's sexes. And if it still seems like a logical scene, then you can go ahead and use it.
Okay, all right.
All right? And I have to say one other thing about the women in this book. They react completely out of proportion to comments about their looks or age. Jane, who is a 40-something superhero, badass, second in command of the rebellion, almost flies off the handle when somebody calls her old. We're not that sensitive. Oh my God.
But see, this is why I think our author really likes animes, because he's kind of seeing... And I gotta say, a lot of anime portray women as either really shy and quiet or super loud and angry and they will kill you.
Yeah, there's a lot of anime in this attitude of like women being this way.
If you want a good example of that, look at Sakura from Naruto. She's both.
When Zach and Derek meet Jane, they're like, oh no, this is second in command. Second in command, we're going to have to do a lot of training. Oh no. Then Jane comes out and she's bodacious with the tatas and all that.
Wow.
And they think, well, first they say, where's the second in command?
Oh my God.
Like Jane walks, and Jane's like, that's me. And they're like, what? A chick? And then they both think, maybe training won't be so bad.
Oh my God.
This is a really dumb-assed way to look at women.
They are young kids, I will say. But maybe Derek should be thinking that, not Zach, because he's supposed to be the more mature one.
I don't know,
You're saying they need to step up their game. I'm saying be careful about stuff like this.
Just be aware.
Be aware.
At least, I mean, if it were just the characters being this way, I wouldn't maybe complain about it so much, but the book is written like this.
Hey, I gotta say, as I kind of like the relationship between the second in command of
Leningrad.
I like the relationship between Leningrad and Regal Justice, even though they share like no lines or scenes together at all. I just like the idea of a lady who's basically ruler of the world and like one of the henchmen. I think that's cool.
Like kind of getting it on.
Yeah.
Maybe.
They probably got it on.
This book doesn't have anything like what you'd call a sex scene.
No.
If there's sex going on, it's all on the down low.
Way off screen.
Thank you for letting me
of course.
carry on for a minute about that.
All of these characters... Oh, by the way, if you guys are hearing, like, explosions or popping, we are recording this on the 4th of July. It's still light outside, so we're hoping the big stuff doesn't go on later. But later on, we might have an in-joke about, like, Why would we ever record on the 4th of July? You know, whatever. So now let's get into the orbs themselves, because we have to talk about magic systems. That's what we said this episode was about. It's also about magic systems. Magic systems in books are tricky. The writers group I mentioned earlier, one of the ladies, she loves magic systems. She loves creating them. She loves making up their little rules and whatever. She writes specifically to write about magic systems. You've probably heard 1,000 times over that magic systems need stuff like rules and whatever. Rules, so that the audience can have a firm grasp on what's going on, what the stakes are, what everyone's capable of.
Right.
But rules are so unmagical. When I say rules, I don't necessarily mean that there needs to be like a doctrine of 10 commandments declaring that all spells must follow very mechanical steps. Here's a basic example of a rule. It's real easy. In Harry Potter, you can turn invisible if you have a cloak of invisibility. That's a rule. The only characters who can turn invisible are the ones who have a cloak of invisibility. So whenever you see someone who turns invisible, you can either say, oh, that person must have a cloak of invisibility. Or you're like, how did they turn invisible? They don't have a cloak.
Is that true? Is that absolutely true that that's the only way you could turn invisible?
I actually don't know.
Well, all right, Harry Potter fans.
Harry Potter fans,
if
yeah.
there's a other way to turn invisible, feel free to yell at Jake for not getting it right.
As far as I saw in the movies, the only way you could turn invisible in Harry Potter is if you have a cloak or if you have the One Ring.
Well, we did read all the books,
yeah.
So maybe that's. I don't remember it being an issue.
How about like this? To cast a spell, you need a thing. To be able to teleport, you need a port key. You need a wand, a swish and a flick, and a funny Latin phrase, and boom, you've cast a spell. You need something in order to do something.
In Harry Potter.
In Harry Potter.
In that verse. Okay, so the orbs are the thing that make the magic system in this word.
Yeah.
And they seem to operate on key phrases. Wind, power, mimicry. The user basically casts what magic they need to cast following the key word.
Yeah.
But then some orbs come with a much more vague,
broad and
premise.
big.
Jane has the dark magic orb.
She can store dark magic, and she can use it to do all kinds of crap.
She has so many powers.
She has truth spells. She has telepathy. God knows what else she's capable of. Orbs also come in levels of power and colors that relate to the orb's main function.
So I stand here and I yell, knockback force, or stone skin,
yeah.
full bolt.
That's what you are shouting.
Zeus fist.
As your power, and that's what you do.
Storm shield. Arms master.
Lightning legs.
House tornado.
House tornado is my favorite. Let's take a second to say that you shouldn't name your power House Tornado. When in the book it says, oh, it's a tornado as big as a house. Houses come in many sizes.
Yes, that bugged him through the whole book.
Yeah.
There's different sizes of houses. And I'm like, well, yeah!
But sometimes the orbs follow a mana-like energy rule where the users need energy in order to cast spells, but Bridget seems to be able to cast massive spells without expending much energy at all.
This is like Pokemon. They fight until they're they're just exhausted.
But no one ever does that. No one ever becomes exhausted or runs out of mana. I don't remember a scene like that.
I don't know, because every fight kind of goes the same route, and it all ends up being a matter of who can pull out the goofiest power to solve the problem.
Whatever the scene needs, someone's got a solution.
And I want to just say one more thing about having to speak something before you can cast a power. If somebody is hurling something at you, you do not have time to say, Storm Shield! Okay?
Yeah.
And I don't like how this book, an action begins and the character has time to register the action.
That is very anime. It's like you imagine a character, they fire a lightning bolt or something, and then you get the anime speed lines, and then you get the other character going, oh no! Lightning shield! Something like that.
The timing of it bugs me, but
sure. Since
this is, I believe, a children's book,
whatever.
Then I'll just relax.
It almost kind of seems like the author isn't imagining these scenes in his head like he's actually writing it on the page, he may be imagining it like it's animated.
Being drawn.
It's being drawn,
like
or it's a show.
Underground Book Club will be back after this important message. Hi, it's me. Hi, your friend, Mort Hambone, owner and operator of the realm's finest salad bar, the Saladin Paladin. For 1 week only at the Saladin Paladin, we're proud to present Carnival Kate and the Level 8, winners of the recent Penance Castle Battle of the Bards, because their parents let them follow their dreams. Dad, what a deal! You can get a great salad while Carnival Kate and the Level 8 raise your stats. What a deal! Buff up with bard songs and healthy vegetables before you head out for your summertime adventuring. Remember, we're located on the ground floor of Penance Castle, conveniently near the Cave of the Infinite Staircase and Mount Madness. Come to the Saladin Paladin. We'll put some salad in you! We now return to Underground Book Club.
Alex has an interesting technique for introducing his
Rules.
power, his orb situation organically in the book.
Yeah.
So that it seems like just a natural progression.
A
of
natural,
events.
yeah, he describes it in a very organic bit of exposition.
See, one of Upton's henchmen just describes orbs to a guy named Sanchez.
These are the 4 different types of orbs, Justice says, and then he pointed to the leftmost one. He has like a big bulletin board display.
Yeah, this is a PowerPoint presentation.
The weakest type, generally speaking, is the level 1 orb. It's green, and its powers are generally displayed in this color. Although their powers are relatively low impact, it is far better than having none, because possessing an orb provides orb resistance. Yes, it is a property associated with having an orb that lowers the damage taken from another orb powers. Due to this, it is very rare for an orb user to instantly defeat another, even in the face of normally lethal abilities.
I see.
Sanchez said. He pointed to the orb directly to its right. This is a level 2 orb. It's blue, and its powers are also generally displayed in this color. Although these powers tend to be significantly stronger than level 1s. The weakest level 2 orbs are worse than the strongest level 1 orbs. Of course, personal strength and training also affects this. Level Z orbs display a wide spectrum of power levels. We do not have the knowledge as to why they exist, or why they do not count towards one's own orb count. All we know is that they are special.
I don't get it.
It's simple. There are 32 captains, each with their own mental code. Each code is segregated into 6 sections, one for each key signature. There is one extra one, but I won't get into that. The mental codes correspond to each phase of the moon, 5 times a year, and only on the first blood moon of the month when it starts. The key signatures become self-aware at noon tomorrow, but only when the moon is in full alignment with galactic Amaru.
That explains everything.
Fine special?
No. So what's the problem with these orbs? What's the issue here? There's a lot of things to remember about them. They're a little inconsistent, and they're just really goofy. They're
Little inconsistent. I think that's pretty mild.
I say they're sometimes consistent. They are, however, at the end of the day, completely free anime superpowers that fell from the sky, where you have to shout the names of the abilities in the middle of combat. You cannot get any goofier than that, unless maybe the orbs, maybe if they were sentient and wanted you to be wanted to be your best
Do you
friend.
remember at some point Jane actually suggests that?
Really?
She says, your orb, if you try to do something, that's not cool, your orb might not like it and might keep you from doing it. She does say that.
That is sentient and whatnot. Oh
okay,
my gosh.
well, what they are is so nebulous. It's like you find an orb, and I think that he describes you sort of absorbing it.
Yeah.
And then it's inside you, so you can mentally see it. And then I feel like it's almost like a heads-up display comes up in your own mind, because they talk about things like power slots and and adjusting their enhancement levels.
Yeah, like it's a video game or something.
Right after this lengthy explanation of how orbs work, Sanchez hears all about how Upton's chain of command works. It's very explaining, and then Sanchez never appears in the book again. He was literally there just to be our earpiece. So, here's a handy writing trick to all future authors.
Yeah.
If you need the audience to hear some exposition, just have one of your characters explain it to Sanchez. Like, for example, little known fact, in The Lord of the Rings, when Galadriel is explaining the history of the ring, she's actually speaking to Sanchez.
He's a good listener, you know?
And he is an excellent earpiece for us.
Absolutely. The real bit of advice I want to give is if you have superpowers, give them rules, and the big part is give them a weakness. Give them a flaw, something to make it more interesting than just, I have a power.
You are correct. I would like to add a note of my own. It is kind of boring or frustrating for me as a reader to have my characters able to do whatever needs to be done on that particular page
sure.
without any trouble. Like, we just happen to bump into a guy who has bubble powers or something, and then they just happened to have only a day before met a guy with cactus powers.
to pop the bubbles.
So now Derek has the ability specifically to fight the bubble guy.
Oh my god.
Or no, the balloon guy. It's the balloon guy.
The balloon guy, yeah. But balloons,
like,
bubbles, same thing to cactuses.
It's
so
really
frustrating.
convenient.
Let's talk about this rebellion. The rebellion is led by a very powerful, capable, vigilante dude who calls himself Death Lightning.
Death Lightning.
Death Lightning. And his second in command is the very interesting Jane. We've mentioned her.
Jane and Cox, also known as Death Lightning, are like the only named rebel characters in the book, except for later we meet a couple of mysterious rebel leaders like a tree guy and a desert chick.
Oh, right, I forgot about desert chick.
I mean, they're just there to like show us other people. All right, there are possibly, though, millions of rebels all throughout the world. Cox is worried that if certain rebels take out Upton, then the rebels will start a new regime of tyranny that's even worse than Upton's. I don't have a problem with this as a plot point. This book is too simplistic to explore this, but it's interesting to think that just because you're a rebel doesn't mean you're right.
Yeah, that is nice.
It's like some of the rebels could actually be jackasses just as bad as Upton.
The book is about like 5 people fighting like one guy and his 4 minions or so. So scale it down. Have him take over like a city, not the whole world. Like, have him fight in the city. Like Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines didn't take place around the entire world. It took place in a city. It took place in one small location.
Containing your plot is kind of...
It's believable, and you don't even have to change that much. He doesn't talk about the world. He talks about just, like, 10 people in total.
Jake had kind of an interesting idea about this book. He said it would be wacky if toward the end there was a big twist where it turned out that this was just a bunch of kids playing a game in their neighborhood.
Yeah, they're like playing pretend. And like Zach, Derek, and Bridget are like 14-year-olds playing D&D or something.
Yeah, like that's kind of how it feels. Is it's all so convenient and simplistic.
Yeah. Zach, Derek, and Bridget go on a lot of missions throughout the book. Usually to either capture an enemy orb user or defeat an enemy orb user. We don't really get into a lot of murder, like direct murder.
No, there's not really any killing.
Yeah, except unless their parents are being killed.
Right. Yeah, we'll talk about tone, too.
Yeah, whatever their mission is, it always ends up with a fight with an enemy orb user somewhere around the nation. And admittedly, a lot of stuff does happen in the book.
It's a fast-paced story, that's for sure.
They fight a balloon man in a military base. They survive a game of cat and mouse with a trap-themed hunter. They face off against fire-ice twins in or near a park. It's not very clear. They fight against literal pirates out in the Caribbean. The book's not that long. It just blasts through details like a wrecking ball blasts through bricks.
Oh, here we have an example of one of Zach, Bridget, and Derek's missions. We begin the chapter with the trio meeting up with either Jane or Cox. They're told that here's a gambling-themed orb user in Vegas. Go take her out. Oh, and they always work for Upton. It's like, this is one of Upton's...
Yeah, one of Upton's big
semi-general, admiral, supervisor. These people have dumb titles. With a minimum amount of acknowledgement from the trio, they take a short train ride to Vegas. Boom, they're in Vegas.
Yep.
It takes them like 2 sentences to reach the orb user. The orb user sends 50 goons after the trio. The goons are dispatched. The goons are never a problem. I don't know why they use goons. Then they fight the gambling orb user for a little bit. Derek will pull some dumb trick out of his ass, and then she'll be defeated, and then the trio goes back to base.
A hell of a lot can happen in a book if you just skim over everything. Here's a question, however. Is this a good idea? Can this work? Is it alright to maybe just skip some stuff sometimes?
Yes, it's alright, but he doesn't really skip it so much as just describe it all in really brief detail.
Sure.
Which makes it seem
unimportant,
forgettable. There's really no consequences of these fights. I don't know really what the tone of the story is supposed to be.
Yeah, we're having a hard time discerning what the tone is.
Is it supposed to be humorous? Or are we supposed to be taking this seriously?
That's the big thing.
There are times when very sad things happen. They all have tragic backstories. But then again, in the present time, the fights and the people are kind of just goofing around.
Yeah, really.
And
they fight pirates.
Old school pirates.
They talk like this.
They want their rum, and they come up against Balloon Guy.
Are we dealing with satire?
Or is this the author is innocent and naive about how fiction is supposed to work in the written form? Because it sounds like he's describing cool scenes he wants to see in an anime.
Sure. So let's take a moment.
And not giving, he's describing them like we can see them too.
Yeah.
We can see what's in his head, so we never get a lot of, great detail.
He says there's a fight with Fire and Ice Twins, near a park. And this park fight scene is the worst. There's characters everywhere. We don't know where anyone is in relationship to anyone else. We don't know who's doing what. All of a sudden Derek's kidnapped, and then Bridget's there.
He's seeing a movie a show in his head,
and he's not letting us in on the info.
A mistake a lot of you guys can make, and I know this because I've made it too.
Me too.
Is assuming that your audience can see it just because you're thinking it.
Yeah.
It's not the case. You have to tell your audience what you want them to see.
Do we have excerpts from the book about tone? Do we have some of those?
Yes, I do. Derek's dad has been shot at a protest, and he's laying on the ground bleeding to death.
Oh, shit.
Listen, Derek, promise me something. Sure, Dad, whatever it is, I'll do it. Derek replied, forcing a smile through his tears.
Oh my God.
Promise me you'll never support Upton no matter what, because he'll ruin this world. Yes, Dad, I promise. I think Bridget and Zach's parents would want the same for them. Derek's dad said, slowly losing consciousness, and Derek nodded. His dad then weakly smiled and said, I know someday you'll be a great man. I love you, he said, and then closed his eyes and said no more. Dad, come on. Come on, Dad, let's head home. Dad! And it actually does have Dad with 8 A's and 7 D's, so I'm not just making that up. Alright, so there we go. Very serious scene. How about this? Squeaker became even angrier and said, Balloon Giant! His entire body, minus his right hand, expanded and expanded until he was about 15 feet tall. Ha ha ha! Boomed Squeaker in a now low-pitched voice. Oh, my entire body is now pure inflatable muscle. Derek shook his head and said, that still doesn't quite make sense to me. And then he shot one cactus spine into Squeaker's gut area. Here's Cox's backstory.
Oh, right.
His wife and daughter are there when he's facing off against a man named Cosmos. Cosmos whisks Cox's wife and daughter away to a parallel dimension. This is a big orb power, where they will remain imprisoned, suffering indefinitely, and it'll be because of your weakness. Your family will suffer eternally because you couldn't do a thing. You will live with the guilt for the rest of your life.
Holy crap.
Cox became enraged and charged at Cosmos with an electrified fist, but he was easily knocked down by him. Why go this far? It's too cruel. You could have just forced me to work for you. Cosmos stared down at him with disdain and said, your wife insulted Upton and assaulted me. We are two of the most important men in the world. Did you think I would just let you get away with that? Ridiculous! You all deserve to suffer, and you will learn to fear us. Both you here and your family in purgatory.
Holy crap. He traps them in eternal hell.
Yeah, basically. And then Cox is like, but I've learned to look past that. This war is bigger than the rest of it.
Let's go play basketball.
Alright, then there's a couple of things where I won't read it because I don't want to take that much time.
Right.
But like, at one point, like Upton's in a swimming pool and Leningrad hits the fire alarm. So a bunch of foam. A bunch of
the foam
comes spraying down, and Upton is like, ooh, now I have a cool beard, and he puts foam all over his face like a beard, like a 3-year-old in a bubble bath.
Yeah.
He puts foam on his face. This is the guy who's taken over the
world.
Or we've got like this kind of repeating joke where the trams in the world, they go so fast that if you look outside while they're running, you will lose consciousness. First of all, I don't know why you'd put windows on trains where that's a problem.
Yeah, for
Secondly,
real.
Derek can't seem to remember not to look out the damn window.
Yeah.
Because it makes him pass out.
Passes out like twice. Boy, brain damage.
The characters are sort of stupid. And so then we're like, okay, is this satire? It's not sophisticated enough to be satire.
Really.
It's not funny enough to be humorous because the jokes are very...
like Tom and Jerry moments almost.
Like Tom and Jerry moments or maybe like Pokemon humor.
Impossible. One other point we'd like to mention, and that's the rather strange world-building details. Like how the trains around the world were built by a guy with the train orb, and the trains are indestructible and are used by both the good guys and the bad guys. And then there's the underground rebel base itself and its streets.
It's like under a bank or something.
Yeah, but it's like, okay. So when the rebels were designing their streets, they were given the freedom to design their buildings however they wanted. They could design their building in hexagonal.
Yes, my house is an octagon.
My house is an octagon because the man always dictated how our buildings could look, and now we're free to make our buildings
we're moving beyond this four-sided house.
As impractical as we can.
Do you want me to read the scene about the ghosts?
Please.
All right. Here's a scene we have not been able to figure out at all.
It's so weird.
The tone is all over the map, and the subject matter.
It's about Zach.
They're talking to Cox. So we got Cox, Zach, Bridget, and Derek.
Yeah.
However, all of the rebel forces who have gone on that trek have disappeared without a trace. The 3 kids swallowed their saliva. It's haunted, said Zach depressingly with a pale face. What's wrong with him? Asked Cox. Bridget and Derek started patting his back, but Bridget was giving a smile of pity, and Derek was holding in laughter. How is this funny? Asked Cox. He looks pretty bad right now.
He gets like this every time there's something related to ghosts is mentioned, Bridget said. There, it's all right, Zach.
He's all right, just a little shaken up, said Derek, still trying hard not to laugh. Ghosts are scary. I don't want to fight any, said Zach in a monotone voice, looking himself like a ghost. Derek couldn't hold it in anymore and burst out laughing. "You want to say something, man?" asked Zach, stuttering a bit. "Ghosts," responded Derek. Zach turned away, depressed.
Oh my god.
"Ghosts, leave me alone. I'll offer you my soul if you just leave me alone."
Holy crap.
Zach muttered in a melancholy tone. Derek kept cracking up until Cox finally said, "All right, that's enough of this. Zach, ghosts aren't real, so enough of the depressed behavior." Now, we'd like to also add that ghosts are never mentioned
No,
again.
they're not a thing. They don't fight ghosts. They don't fight anything related to ghosts.
Really never any follow-up
You
on
would think
this.
that there would be, like, later on, a ghost orb, or, like, a person who has a ghostly power or something.
To explain
like,
maybe why Zach is so freaked out by ghosts. It seems like a strange thing to pick to give your character dimension.
Sure, especially if no ghosts are ever gonna come up.
And, by the way, nobody was talking about ghosts in the first place.
Yeah.
Zach kind of, like, just comes out with this. So, usually the tone is hard to decipher. In moments like that, it goes completely off the rails. We have no idea
what the author's trying to evoke here. Oh, the flashbacks.
Flashbacks. Yes, let's talk about flashbacks. We get a lot of flashbacks, and apparently anybody is able to have a flashback.
Anybody.
Because we get, at one point, a flashback from a pirate who is an extremely minor, random character who has a very short flashback that basically just reiterates what he said in the paragraph just before it. He said, "Captain, we'd never disobey an order of yours if we didn't have to. We owe our lives to you because before you showed up, we were lifeless lackeys of Upton. We remember what it was like." Then we go into a flashback where the lifeless lackeys of Upton are laying around the boat. Captain Orange shows up and is like, "I'm gonna whip ye landlubbers into shape." And everybody goes, "Hooray!" And then
he has a flashback. It's so
like what? Okay, first of all, random characters,
really,
with no part of the story don't deserve flashbacks. And secondly, don't give us a flashback of the thing you just told us.
God, seriously.
And it's kind of useless that we get a flashback in here about when Derek, Zach, and Bridget found their orbs, which I found to be more confusing than anything else.
They just pick them up off the ground.
Yeah.
There you go. Despite these characters travel to so many places, either around the nation or around the globe, it never really feels like they've gone anywhere. We do not experience the locations that they go to, since we see these locations in such a small window and for so briefly. It's the same effect as flying over a small country in an airplane and you can't see anything because you're sitting next to the wing.
It's not just the brevity, it's that every place feels the same.
Yeah, they don't do it.
No matter where they go, the story pretty much goes the same way.
Like you would think if, for example, if there was like an orb user that was good with race cars, you'd think there would be a race or something. But no, instead he would probably just have tires on his hands that he would punch with.
But I think this is because the author is seeing the scene in his head and assumes somehow that we can see what he's seeing.
Yep. There is one thing we know for sure about Alex, thanks to the content of this book. He has extensive knowledge on how to play basketball.
Yep.
During chapter 22, titled Hidden Skills, Derek, Zach, and Bridget go to the Underground Rebels basketball court, probably made with the basketball court orb, and they have a non-orb using match where Zach and Bridget play doubles against Derek and Cox in basketball. It is by far the most detailed, elaborately written scene in the entire book. It's probably also the best fight scene in the whole book.
It is the best conflict scene.
It's like the best scene.
I mean, which is not to say that they're fighting each other, but they're playing a game and trying to win. It's pretty well done.
Oh my god, the detail he goes to in this basketball scene. It's like all of a sudden, boom, he becomes Space Jam.
Okay, and you know where everybody standing,
Yeah.
running.
You get like a feel for the chord and what everyone's doing.
It's like, where did this come from?
Did he get like a Ghost Rider in here? And the ghost... Oh, that's why Zach's so afraid of ghosts, is because
there's a Ghost Rider.
There's a Ghost Rider,
okay.
yeah.
And it's fun to read. Oh, look, what we're coming down to is that sometimes Alex Robbins shows a talent.
In conclusion, the Orb Chronicles, The Winds of Change, is an admirable first publication. He's clearly either young or maybe a little naive. It seems like his passion lies within maybe something like television, but writing is the only realistic way that he can actually tell his stories. That's exactly how I started writing.
Yeah, I remember.
I really wanted to do television. I really wanted to do animation.
Writing is the most accessible way to express yourself.
Yeah.
It doesn't cost anything.
Well, I mean,
you can do it no matter who you are. Artistic expression through writing is just, it's accessible to anybody.
We read it. We talked about it. That wouldn't have happened if he just kept it all in his head. And so I've got to say, kudos, dude. Keep going.
It was a light, sometimes fun read.
Yeah.
When it wasn't frustrating.
Practice has been the number one solution I can think of to all these writers.
Practice.
And to get someone to help read along with you.
Alex's writing is not bad. But here's the deal. When Alex knows something, like basketball,
he doesn't. He's on the ball.
I stopped myself from saying that. I didn't want to be...
No, you're right. He's on the ball.
He's got a lot of potential here. So anyway, thank you, Alex. We thought your book was...
very fun.
It had a lot of fun ideas.
I had a blast reading it. I really did.
In this episode, we've talked a lot about tone. What do we mean by tone? Any work you look at, read, watch, whatever, there is a tone. So like Friends, if you watch an episode of Friends, it's going to be a comedy.
Sure, yeah.
Slightly risque, young adult comedy.
When you tune into Friends, you expect a certain tone.
If Friends had suddenly gone into an episode about how the Geller's grandparents were held at Auschwitz.
Oh my God.
See, that's not in the right tone.
Yeah.
You know when a tone is wrong because it will put you off the story. It'll make you go like, wait, what?
What?
And it'll kind of destroy your expectations. Not in a good way.
What kind of emotions are you trying to convey? What do you want to make people feel?
It's the mood, the attitude you're going in with, and if you start switching it up unpredictably, your reader's going to have a mental hiccup at the very least.
They're going to get some whiplash.
Or they're going to do what I do, and it's put the book down and read something else, because I don't like it.
Yeah.
All right, so next time... our prompt.
Yeah, so I think the prompt is, I want you to come up with your own orb. And in order to give you some ideas, we've actually included the list in the book, all the orb powers. And we'll give you some of the names of them.
We're going to give you the names, but we're not going to read you everything because the author actually says, read this after you read the book because there might be some spoilers.
Yeah, these are actual ones that the author includes as canon examples of orbs that are in his universe. So come up with your own orb. And please, you need a description of what it can do.
What can it do?
And do you serve good or evil? Next time, we are discussing Witch's Blood, Book 1, Bloodless by
Neil Yasmin.
And on the Amazon page, it says, you first met Amber in the Poison Blood series. Now, see her kick ass in this brand new urban fantasy series with even more magic, danger, and romance.
All right.